hope for. It's a dark time we're going through. The news is full of conflict, gridlock in Congress, continued wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, domination of our democracy by the forces of wealth, and on the local level, a school consolidation fight, a scrap over the fate of the Chatham town administrator. Amid the gloom, I find myself quoting Yeats: "The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity." On a personal level, the December holidays are a trying time for many of us. Some of us are traveling to be with loved ones, enduring the new security procedures at airports or the traffic on the highways. While some are reuniting with their loved ones, others are separated, or widowed, or estranged, and the memories of holidays past holds up a mirror of our losses today. When you're alone in December, you're really alone. The relentless carols you hear in the stores make you want to stuff cotton in your ears. Daylight is measured out in teaspoons. When you finally get free enough of chores to take the walk around the block, it's already too dark. And there will be others of us for whom this time of year is just the greatest, who go all out to decorate with the latest lights, who revel in giving parties and going to them, who joyfully fill up their calendar and get presents for every conceivable person, and compose long year-end letters to send to friends and family. And then there are others of us who love and loathe these holidays with equal intensity. What is it that we hold on to? What is it that gets us through the dark time of the year? Is it true that sometimes a little light can be enough, as the song I just sang had it? We sing, O come, Emmanuel, and light one candle in the same service, because this is Hanukkah in the Jewish calendar and Advent in the Christian one. Hanukkah is about freedom. Advent is about expectation. On a practical and cultural level, the importance of Hanukkah has been promoted in Western countries over the past couple of centuries as a Jewish counterweight to the ubiquitous celebration of Christmas. This grows out of the fact that both of them occur at roughly the same time on the calendar, and that there are a lot more people who celebrate Christmas in the Western countries than there are that celebrate Hanukkah. But on a spiritual plane, both are, in a sense, about hope. I want to explore today a concept that bridges both traditions, the concept of Messiah. It's a concept that is front and center in traditional Christianity. The Gospel of Matthew account that many will read on Christmas Eve begins an account of Jesus the Messiah. This morning, though, I want to set these Christian claims in the context of the history of Jewish struggles against domination by foreign powers. And then I want to look at our own expectations for Messiahs. For there are plenty of people today who still look for a Messiah. Is anyone bothered by the depiction of President Obama as Jesus on the cover of the order of service today? I'm indebted for what follows to Professor Rich Corsley of the University of Massachusetts at Boston, and for this book, Bandits, Prophets, and Messiahs. The word Messiah is simply Hebrew for anointed. The Greek word for anointed is Christ. The act of anointing with oil signified kingship in ancient Israel. For a couple of centuries after they left Egypt, the children of Israel had no king. It was an egalitarian society, and they conceived that they were directly ruled by God. They occupied the tops of the hills, and they were able to keep the local tribes at bay. But then the Philistines organized a more sophisticated military machine, and the Israelites felt that they had needed stronger leadership. They chose Saul as their first king, but the Messiah tradition really looks back to the second king, who was David. Both Saul and David were selected by popular acclamation, but this acclamation was sealed by anointment with oil. Professor Horsley maintains that there were two traditions which were in conflict with one another. There was the official royal ideology and the tradition of popular kingship. There's no question that David established a hereditary dynasty with all the bureaucracy and taxation that entailed. But David's reign also was looked back to as the source of popular kingship. Professor Horsley perceives three characteristics of popular kingship. It was conditional, it was by popular election or anointing, and it was revolutionary. It might seem that anointing means chosen by God, but if you read the history of the way David and Saul were both chosen, the anointing is used to seal a choice made by public acclamation or by military prowess. An important factor which cuts across both ideas of kingship is that God promises David that his descendants will rule after him and his kingdom will last forever. This promises gives openings to future generations to try to make good on it. Now, the word Messiah does not get used much in Jewish writings before the 1st century of the Common Era, but the idea of a popular kingship was well established and figured in 4 popular uprisings in ancient Israel. The revolt of Judas Maccabeus in the 2nd century before the Common Era, the rising led by 3 people at the time of the death of King Herod in 4 BCE, the actions of Simon Bar Jorah in the Great Jewish Revolt of 66 to 70 of the Common Era, and the Bar Kokhba Revolt in 132 to 135 of the Common Era. Don't worry, there won't be a test on this after. It's the first of these that gives rise to the Hanukkah celebration. Since the time of Alexander the Great, the Jews had been ruled by the Greeks. Many of the upper classes in Judah had been thoroughly Hellenized and fell away from the observance of Jewish law and custom. Some Hellenistic rulers had taken a lax attitude toward the Jewish religion, but in the 2nd century BCE there came a ruler named Antiochus IV who determined to convert all the Jews to Greek religion and culture or wipe them out. This produced a crisis of faith for the Jews. They had the choice to convert or die. A spate of apocalyptic literature contained in the Bible and other writings dates from this period. This literature encouraged people to think that resistance was divinely inspired. Judas Maccabeus did not start the revolt against Antiochus. His father did. His father killed the king's officer, who was trying to force him to make pagan sacrifices, and then fled to the wilderness with his sons and other sympathizers. As the old man was dying a few years later, he designated his son Judas to be the military commander of the revolt. Judas rallied an army and won some astonishing battles against overwhelming odds, which are recited at length in the book of Maccabeus, the first book of Maccabeus. At one point, he was commanding a force of 10,000, and the Greek commander had 60,000 ranged against him. At that point, Judas offers a prayer to God and reminds God that he led King David to victory over the Philistines in similar circumstances. The prayers were answered, and the superior force was rallied, and then Judas went straight to Jerusalem and set about restoring the temple, which had been destroyed and desecrated. You have to understand that to the ancient Jews, the temple was the place where God lived on earth. It's the holiest of holy places. Judas finished the restoration on the 3rd anniversary of the day the Gentiles had profaned the temple, and he reconsecrated it with songs and harps and lutes and cymbals. We've already heard about harps and lutes and cymbals today. They celebrated the dedication of the altar for 8 days, and it was during that 8 days, according to later rabbinical commentary, that a lamp was able to burn, even though it only had oil for 1 night. And that is the origin